Hi guys, it's Nancy and welcome back to another week and another video. Thank you so much for joining me today. You know, I have a really good recipe for you today. I love puff pastry and you see it more frequently in the grocery stores when it's around the holidays, right? Because people are doing fun things with puff pastry. One of the main reasons I like it is because it's kind of not intimidating to work with. You know, a lot of the doughs that you can make on your own or sometimes even find in the grocery stores are kind of intimidating, but you know, puff pastry, not so much. And it's a very light, flaky crust. So you could do it with savory things, you could do it with sweet things. You could use it so many ways, you know. I really love this week's video. I'm calling it my egg bake pastry. And you know, this would be so great around the holidays because, you know, let's face it, we do a lot of brunches for the holidays for our friends and our family. Things like before you serve the big turkey for Christmas or Thanksgiving, you have to have breakfast ready. And this is kind of a fun thing to do. You could even prep it in advance, as you'll see at the end of this video. So, are you ready to see what it is? Let's go. Okay, let's look at our ingredient list for our egg pastry bake. I'm using light mozzarella cheese from Trader Joe's. You can use any light mozzarella that you'd like. This is a half a cup. I'm using a half cup each of frozen peas and corn, one of my favorite things to add to eggs. I'm using 2 slices of deli ham, 6 large eggs, 1 tablespoon of all-purpose flour. That'll help bind our eggs, 2 tablespoons of fat-free half and half, and our puff pastry, 1 sheet of this puff pastry from Trader Joe's, and some baking powder. Okay, let's get to rolling our deli ham. We're going to just roll it and get some spiral cuts out of it. You know, crumbled sausage would also be really good in this recipe. And sometimes you could buy, of course, crumbled sausage already made. You know, it's already kind of cooked. All you do is warm it over. And, you know, it would be great in something like this. So we have our ham, and then you want to, of course, get you a bowl that's big enough to add all of your ingredients and to be able to mix it thoroughly. So I have my glass bowl here, adding my ham to it. Again, turkey would work great here as well. I'm adding my frozen peas and corn. This is something new that I'm adding to my eggs, and I'm really loving it. I think it's because peas and corn are kind of a filler, and of course 0 points. Okay, let's crack our eggs. I mentioned to you, I'm using 6 jumbo eggs. And wow, did you see that? A double yolk. Oh my gosh, a double yolk. Pretty lucky. Yay, it's gonna be a good day. All right, we'll crack the rest of my eggs. You know, that doesn't happen all the time. Actually, once I bought a carton of jumbo eggs, and do you know every egg in that cart was double yolk? Wow, so cool. I love it when that happens. All right, so we got our eggs. We'll just continue adding them to our bowl. And again, these are jumbo, but if you have smaller eggs, just, you know, add a couple more so that you, of course, have enough for the entire recipe. Okay, let's season. I'm using salt and pepper. And I always say that you are the cook. You know the quantity of ingredient and seasoning and flavor that you want to add to your recipe. Okay, here is our half a cup of light mozzarella cheese and also my fat-free half and half. I love fat-free half and half because it's such a creamy element and only 1 point. I use it for my coffee creamer in the morning because, again, it's just, you know, it's 1 point and I love a creamy coffee. Okay, let's add our 1 tablespoon of all-purpose flour. And again, this is just kind of a binder for our eggs. Get that in there. And now we want to add our 1 teaspoon of baking powder. So this will just aid our egg bake to kind of rise and get a little fluffy on us, you know. This is a great way to do that. Okay, let's get all of our ingredients mixed well. You know, you got a lot of ingredients there, so you want to ensure that you incorporate all of those ingredients. So let's mix these up really well. Preheat your oven to 350 degrees. Okay, so I'm using my grill pan because it's large. I don't have a baking sheet or baking pan that's, you know, like a Pyrex that's large enough in space to fill in with this puff pastry, the whole sheet of puff pastry. So I'm just using my grill pan. It's oven safe up to 350 degrees, and it worked really well. And in fact, I love the shape of my egg pastry bake because I use the grill pan. So, you know, get creative in your kitchen with your utensils, you know, or your pots and pans rather. It makes for fun, interesting cooking. And, you know, you got to use what you have to get the kind of results that you want. Okay, so my pastry, my puff pastry sat in the fridge kind of like overnight. It was frozen. And so I want to make sure it's defrosted and defrosted well because it's easier to work with when that's the case. So I just plopped it into my grill pan, and you see it has this piece of parchment paper on the bottom. So just pull that out. And then the puff pastry is, you know, I guess the word is pliable. That dough is very stretchy. So just make sure that you stretch your dough all the way across your cooking surface or your baking surface. And you want to move the sides of and bottoms and edges of your puff pastry up along the edges of your baking dish, because you want somewhat of an edge, you know. You want to pour the eggs into your puff pastry. So what you're doing is creating a pool of sorts to make sure that those eggs pool and get into that pastry. And so that it holds it somewhat like a shell. So just go along the edges and lift as good as you can, and try not to rip your pastry because you don't want holes. Okay, that looks pretty good. I'm just going to go ahead and add a little bit of a cooking spray here so that I can get the edges of my puff pastry sprayed. Okay, going to go ahead and add the contents of the egg mix into the puff pastry. So you see what I mean? You can still see some edges of that puff pastry. So you just want to fill it in, you know, and so it's like a shell, right? Almost like a pizza pie. All right, get all of those out and ensure that you scrape to get all of your ham and cheese out. And just evenly spread. Sometimes the peas and the corn will kind of gather together, so just spread it out. Make sure your ingredients are spread out well. Making sure those edges are not drowned in that egg bake, and so just going back over and doing the best that I can to get them in there. Okay, we're going to add just a bit more cheese on top of this egg bake. Not much. Just a little bit there. it looks great when there's a bit of a golden cheesy crust, right? Alongside of your pies. All right. By the way, I measured this recipe out to 16 pieces, no, 12 pieces, I believe. I'll have it in the ingredient list. And 4 points. I'm adding a little bit of dried parsley there, so 4 points. You could, of course, make it into smaller pieces and maybe even get it down to 3. Okay, I'm going to go ahead and add my pastry into the oven at 350, and it baked for a good 25 minutes or so. Just keep an eye on it. You just want to bake it until your eggs no longer shake and wiggle, right? You want a firm egg baked pastry. So there it is. It looks really good. Adding that dried parsley on top, I think, added another element of color. Of course, you have your corn and your peas and your ham. Looks really good. Green onion would have been great in here as well. All right, so because I sprayed my grill pan really good, I'm just going to go ahead and give it a flip to my cooking board, and it comes right out. You know, this is a wonderful recipe for the holidays, right? You know, because right before your big Thanksgiving feast or your Christmas feast, you have guests over, you need to feed them. This would be a great festive recipe for your guest. Our crust nice and golden. Go ahead and flip that over. And now we're going to go ahead and give this a slice. I'm going to go 4 slices across the top, vertical and horizontally. Looks good. And do you see what I mean? You can control how many pieces you want. So again, this is 12 pieces and 4 points each. And try to get it as evenly cut as you can so that the points are spread out evenly, of course, across your pastry dish. But there it is. You see they've fluffed up kind of nicely the layers of that puff pastry. Really nice. So yummy. You know, I love the look of the green against the ham and the golden brown. The layers really nicely done. There's a cross-cut section for you. You got to try this recipe. 4 points, really good. Again, great for the holidays. What I did, I went ahead and added my pieces to my lunch boxes for the week. And I warmed up each piece in the toaster oven and had breakfast every day for a week. 4-point breakfast along with a little bit of fruit. Really nice. Try it out. You'll love this recipe. Well, what did you think about that recipe? Easy, right? Easy and so delicious. You know, it's one of these things where you could use your imagination. You know, you could even make it on the sweeter side, on the more savory side. You could add things like spinach, you know. It's just such a classic, great recipe. And again, only 4 points for a pastry. That's pretty good. Well, I hope that you give it a try. If you have any other ideas for what to put in the puff pastry, let us know below, because some of us may actually make this recipe, and I hope you do for the holidays. And I hope that you come back and see me for my next video. If you haven't subscribed, please do so. And don't forget to like this video, and guess what? I'll see you on the next one, okay? Take care, guys. Bye!